Okay, we'll start the setup procedure by pressing the emergency stop button. Then we'll move to the magazine side of the machine and we'll start adjusting the magazine. First, we'll start by loosening the three handles, ratchet handles on the left side of the machine, and pull the magazine side out of the way. Move to the right side and we'll do exactly the same thing. Loosen the three ratchet handles and move this side out of the way. Then we'll pick up a case. We want to make sure that we have the minor flap panel of the case following the direction of the flow. This is a right hand machine. The case will be moved from left to right, and we'll orient the case with the minor flap towards the direction of the flow. Then we'll try to center this lever here. This is a case opener lever. We'll try to center that to the slot between the minor and the major panel. We'll lift the case up and we'll move this side of the magazine within an eighth of an inch to the case and lock down the three ratchet handles. We'll go on the other side. We'll bring this side in to the case within the same range, an eighth of an inch or so, and lock this magazine down. Then we'll pick another case up. And we'll do the same thing. Now we'll look at this white mark here on this magazine shaft, and we'll try to lift this case up, center that with the slot, the machine. Then we'll look and see if you have enough clearance so you can fill the magazine easy. Once that you have enough slot in there, that's good. We're going to pick cases up and load the magazine. When you pick up a bundle of cases, you look and you want to make sure that all of them are oriented the same way. We'll take this bundle of cases, we'll place it in the magazine, then we'll pull on those case holders, those spring loaded handles. What those will do is just hold the cases for you while you pick up another bundle of cases. You can fill the magazine all the way. We are just going to do this now. We're going to pick up this handle and push this case follower against the cases. Okay, we need to set up the magazine height. For that we need to measure our case width, which in our case is 8 3/4. Then while we are doing that, we are going to measure the case length, which is 12 inches. With the measurement of the width, we are going to set up the magazine height, which is going to be adjusted based on this scale here to the right of the magazine. And you move that one up and down to get your proper adjustment by cranking this handle. We need to align 8 3/4 here on the scale to the top of this frame. So we just crank this up a little bit. That's about right there. That's good. 8 3/4. Now, using our 8 3/4 measurement on the case width, we need to set up this adjustment on the carriage. This one will align with the case and hold the corner of the case when you push the case into the belt drive. Doing that, you have to loosen this knob here and move this in and out to adjust this to the scale to 8 3/4, which is about right there. You lock this down. And now, we also have the 12 inches dimension that we measured for the case length. To do that, we need to adjust this proximity switch. What this one does, it will enable the brake, it will engage the brake on the slider cylinder, that's down there, that will align the slider with the 12 inches, which will be the opening dimension between this front of the drive and this plate of the carriage. This will be your case length. So our dimension is 12 inches. We need to look here. We have a scale on the bottom at 12 inches, and that dimension needs to be aligned with the back end of this plate, of this bracket that supports the proximity switch. You loosen that, you lock it down. That's done. However, in a situation that your proximity switch, the one you just adjusted, aligns with the tube for the carriage, you will have to do the following. You loosen this knob handle here and move your proc switch out of the range of that tube until that proc switch doesn't read anything. You lock it down, you move to the control station, you close your doors, make sure your emergency stops are released, and you press your cycle reset button. You hear that noise? What that one does, it will position your slider cylinder to the new home on the proximity switch. To see that, you open the door, and look at this, and now the proc switch reads the tubing. You loosen that and move this to your 12 inches case length dimension, lock it down, and you repeat the same sequence. Close the doors, press your cycle reset, as many times as necessary until you see that the carriage moves on the new setup position. Right now your setup is good for the case length. Being here, I recommend that you check the alignment of your vacuum plate. You see right now, if you turn the machine on, the vacuum plate will run into your slider. So if you loosen this knob here and push this over, lock it down, then we move down to set up the belt drives and the hold down plate. Next step of the setup will be adjusting the belt drives and the hold down plate. To adjust the belt drives, we'll pick up a case, we'll fold the flaps, turn the case upside down and place it on this bed between the two drives. Hold the case down, and this crank handle here will adjust your belt. We crank this in until the drives are getting a grip of the case. To adjust the hold down plate, you can do it two ways. One, just sit over here and crank this hold down plate down until roughly the bottom of the hold down plate aligns with the top of the case. Or you can measure this and transfer that dimension on this scale here. We are going to start the machine, and the very first thing we do, we want to make sure that the selector switch for automatic, manual, and jog cycle is turned all the way to the right hand into the jog. We'll press the cycle reset button, the blue button. We'll turn on the motors, which will start our belt drives in the vacuum pump. It's this white button here. Then we'll turn the machine on by pressing the green button, cycle start. The machine being in jog, the only thing will happen, the vacuum plate will extend to the magazine. If we open the door, we can see the vacuum plate extended to the magazine, and we can see our alignment of the vacuum cups on the case. We can loosen this knob handle right now and pull this over a little more. Try to spread your vacuum cups on the body of the case to get a little better control. Anyway, you want to make sure that you don't bring it all the way, so when this vacuum plate will retract in the next cycle, it will run into your carriage plate. We'll lock it down, we'll close the door, and we'll reset the machine again. Cycle reset, turn our belt drives and vacuum pump on, and we'll start the machine again. Now we're going to push the start button one more time. Every time you press the start button, the machine will index one, will make one move. Right now the vacuum plate should retract to the case. If we open the door, if you look right now inside the machine, you can see that the case, it's a little bit in a bind with the slider, which is telling us that the slider cylinder has to move back just a little bit. To do that, you have to open the door and bump your proc switch over a little bit, the slider extended proximity switch. We will reset the machine once again. Cycle reset. We'll turn our belt drives and vacuum pump on. Push cycle start. Gonna pick up a new case. Gonna retract. The case looks very close to the plate. You need to look here in the gap right there between this plate. There, the case is there. Now by pressing the start button again, the squirting cylinders on top of the belt drives, now I'm referring to this little cylinder here and one over there, are holding the case square. It's pushing against this carriage plate. Next time I'm going to push the start button, the vacuum plate is going to let go of the case and move back away from the case, and the case will be held just by the carriage. And by pressing start again, now we're going to index the case into the belt drives. When the case approaches the photo eye on top of the belt drives, the major flaps are closed and the case is being indexed through. Now I want to show you the little squirting cylinders on top of the belt drives here. If you could see this arm here and the tension they put on the case, if you have a thin wall case, you can adjust the pressure on those cylinders by turning those two knobs counterclockwise to decrease the pressure and clockwise to increase it. We'll push the start cycle again. Let go of the case. We'll push the case into the belt drives, and we have our first case.